Greetings, fellow ukuleleans. Jeff Weinberger coming at you here with a new tutorial. I'd like to talk about chord transitions today. Probably the second most common thing that I get asked about. Of course, strumming would be number one. That's a perennial subject that I find myself teaching privately, in workshops, on the internet, etc. It's a really useful subject, but I've been doing an awful lot of that this summer. I would like to switch over to another popular topic, as I mentioned, and that would be chord transitions. So some people call them chord changes, chord progressions, a lot of different terms, but the actual word transition I like because that kind of indicates that we're going to be talking about the smooth transition from one chord to another, not the harmonic and theoretical implications of all this, but more the physical, what you do with your fingers. And we all have certain chords that are tough for us, and we have certain chord changes that are tough for us. So let's look at some ways to make these things easy. There's the common chord tricks. I'll go over the real common ones too. You might see those on the internet. They'll say chord hacks or chord secrets revealed or unlock your chord progressions or whatever. You know, there's all these gimmicky ways of getting yourself noticed on YouTube. You've probably seen that, clickbait, etc. But I would like to just talk about it on a down-to-earth level. We're not going to sensationalize it and put exclamation points and highlight it and make it all flashy. Let's do this very modestly but practically so that it's as useful to you, the learner, as possible. And that's my goal in all of these videos, is not to be flashy and world-renowned or anything like that, but my goal is you learn to play ukulele better. That's basically it. And enjoy music. Have a nice enriching experience with music in your life. All right, so enough of that. Let's get right into it. The most common chord trick in the whole world is C to G7. We've all heard it. It goes... that one. So the C to G7 is a whole lot easier if you finger your C chord 0, 0, 0, 3, the standard C chord, the first chord most of us learn, and then use your third finger to do so, which most books and websites tell you to do. But then, when you go to your G7 chord, do not lift your third finger. Just simply slide your third finger back to the second fret, where it needs to be for a G7 chord, then place your other two fingers accordingly. That's so much smoother. It's effortless, as opposed to if you used your first finger for a C chord, or if you used your second finger for a C chord, or if you lifted your C chord off to get it to G7. That lifting is a whole lot of wasted motion. So don't lift, slide. All right, the second most common chord trick in the world probably is the G to E minor trick. This one. I use that one every day when I play with Mid-Coast Ukes. There's always songs we do in G that have a G chord followed by an E minor chord. Super common. Or if you're doing blues in G. That sort of thing. So you just got to have it. You've got to know this trick. You do a G chord like everyone else does a G chord, 0, 2, 3, 2, with my first, third, and second fingers in order from top to bottom. And then instead of lifting all my fingers off and wasting all that energy and making life harder to pounce on my E minor chord, I simply do this. Hang on to my G chord. I do not lift my G chord whatsoever. It's stationary. It's just glued right there. And then my pinky comes on over and plays the 4th fret of the C string. That's all you got to do. It's like one little move as opposed to like 4 or 5 big moves like that. So saves you a whole lot of time and effort. So again, don't do this unless you have to, unless the situation warrants it. But if you can get away with it, do this. So much better. that's chord trick number 2 for you. These are very common. These are not in reinventing the wheel or rocket science. This is stuff that I hope all of you know, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, wherever you're at. You might already know this stuff, but if you don't, this is going to be very valuable. I guarantee it. All right, so let's get into another thing that I like to teach people, and that is easing into or relaxing into a chord. Sometimes we just plain old try too hard.